Number 1, Cameron Beaubier, your national champ, with the launch from pole position, leads us. There are 5 riders that can throw a shot at him, and they do. The first one is Josh Herron. Herron's going to be pushed wide, though. Sculls, total contact.
Yep.
And Herron, frustrated by that one, you can see his body language. Yeah.
Oh, who's JD Beach? Crashes turn 6 and 7.
Tony Elias was back as far as 5th place, has worked his way into a race win. Trying to wheelie across the line here at altitude, takes the checkered flag in fine style, and Tony Elias adds his 4th win of the season. It's time for the MotoAmerica AMA FIM North American Road Race Championship. Round 5 of 10 for 2019. We're at the Championship of Utah in Tooele at Utah Motorsports Campus. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the broadcast. My name is Greg White, standing alongside Jason Pridmore, who's won 2 national titles at this level. Now, Jason, we've already had race 1 here at Utah Motorsports Campus on our 2.2-mile circuit. What'd you learn from the Superbike race yesterday?
Well, it was exactly what we thought it was going to be, Greg. It was close, tight racing in all of our classes across the board. There's going to be a lot of people coming out making changes for race 2 in all their respective classes. It's going to be another busy day.
And even though we've had a warm-up here in the EBC Brakes Superbike class, that is not going to tell the story of this race, because the changes they are making, we're predicting much closer racing. Now let's take a look at some highlights from yesterday and how the race unfolded.
At the start of race 1, it was Cameron Beaubier from pole position, getting the edge on the field as they rolled into turn 1 ahead of Tony Elias. A very aggressive Garrett Gerloff shoved his way underneath Matthew Sculls for 3rd. Josh Herron, who got a slow start, started picking his way through the field and was able to go up underneath his teammate Tony Elias in the turn 6, turn 7 area. At this point, we had 7 Superbikes fighting for the lead as Garrett Gerloff then decided to follow suit and pass Tony as well. As the race continued to move forward, everyone was waiting for things to start to happen, and JD Beach was the guy that looked like he was ready to start doing it as he moved himself into 4th. But directly after that, him and Gerloff got together going into turn 13, bumped themselves back. Tony Elias just picked up 2 spots. Then Josh Herron thought it was going to be his turn to lead at the front. He takes the point over Cameron Beaubier after a bunch of laps following behind. Tony Elias sees his teammate get to the front. He decides to start making a charge himself. He goes underneath Garrett Gerloff, and then not soon after passes his teammate Josh Herron for 2nd. All the while, Cameron Beaubier sitting back there, but then Matthew Sculls started coming to the forefront as well. He bumps his way through to 2nd place, and we saw Josh Herron run into problems very late in the race. Not as big of a problem as JD Beach, though. He ran a little bit wide in the 6-7 area, and on his way back onto the track, clipped the curbing and fell over for no finish. But it was Tony Elias, dominating win. It didn't look like it was going to be so dominating at the beginning of that race.
Here's a look at the results. It was Tony Matthews Sculls with his 2nd podium of the year. Garrett Gerloff, another podium for him. But Cameron Beaubier in his bid for this championship in 4th spot. Jake Lewis in 5th. He's having this 5th place thing. He's got to start moving up on that one. Josh Herron, Jake Gagne, who we called yesterday. It was a clean start if you listened to the broadcast yesterday, so Jake Gagne credited with 7th. Jason Uribe, yes, that's a Honda CBR 1000RR. Championship standings here, JP. Beaubier slips back to 21 points. Gerloff 56 behind Josh Herron. So something has got to be done about Tony Elias. We are at the halfway point of the season. All right, we'll take a break here on our FS2 coverage of the EBC Brakes Superbike class. On the other side, we're going to Owensboro, Kentucky to learn about what makes champions. Fox Sports coverage of MotoAmerica Superbike racing from Utah is brought to you by Dunlop, the official tire supplier of the 2019 MotoAmerica Championship. All right, welcome back to Utah Motorsports Campus. Leading up to the EBC Brakes Superbike race, Jason Pridmore. Let's talk about a little town in the United States, in Kentucky, called Owensboro.
Yeah.
Now, we've been talking about Owensboro, Kentucky for as long as I've been in racing.
Yeah, about 1996, 97, we started hearing about some fast kids that were coming out of Owensboro, Kentucky, and since then it's been pretty well documented.
Yeah, you've heard the names of Tommy Hayden, Roger Hayden, and of course, the late, great Nicky Hayden. But for that group of riders, well, they're pretty tight-knit down there in Owensboro, Kentucky.
Owensboro was really a race hub for NASCAR to start with. There was Michael and Darrell Waltrip, Jeremy Mayfield, 3 Green brothers, and I think one of the key successes, all kinds of dirt tracks, car dirt tracks and stuff, and then we raced fair races. We was racing about 45 times a year.
It's been great because land and tracks and stuff was so nice, and people will never complain about if you were dusting out their neighborhood or, you know, we started riding too early. They kind of were cool with it. So I guess what you would say that people here are just a lot more relaxed.
Having Roger and having Nicky whenever he was around and having Tommy and them, it's a big help, you know, because there's so much experience at that point in the room.
It's really cool to see like their work ethic and how their dad brought them up, and they all just feed off each other. They pushed each other every day to be better, and it's nice to live around those guys and to watch what they do and then try to replicate that yourself.
Well, like I always kept 2 or 3 racetracks at my house so they could come train with my kids and they could see, you know, our work habits. It's the main thing I want to show them. It's not like nobody owes you anything. And then now JD comes in, and JD's, I mean, got the probably the best work habits of anybody I know right now. And he says he learned a lot of it from Tommy, Nicky, and Roger. And then now we got Jake Lewis that's moved up here from Princeton, and we got Nick McFadden. But they come to my house and train and ride sometimes and watch and bicycle with my kids, and I just tell them keep working hard.
The stuff that we're doing is hard. I mean it's hot and it's hard, but to have a group of guys to still really push you is awesome. You don't want to have a bad day, because if you're going slow or whatever, you never hear the end of it. It doesn't matter if it's 2 weeks from now and we've rode 5 times. I mean, it's oh, remember 2 weeks ago when I dropped you up that hill?
Every day that we're riding with each other, it's more like a competition and like a race. So I feel like that kind of helps when it comes to the MotoAmerica races. You know, you look forward to riding with your buddies, and it so happens that they're all pro motorcycle racers too.
They're almost like little brothers, but it's been cool, and now, you know, now they ask some questions, and somebody always helped me, so you don't ever want to forget where you come from. And, you know, since I'm not racing anymore, really, it's up to them to keep the Owensboro legacy going, so I want to make sure it stays on the map.
Well, Jason, that was awesome. Can you imagine when you were racing that you would have such a group around you to keep you motivated?
Or the ribbing that you're going to take if
Yeah.
you don't show up or don't do something like that. Look, the Haydens, champions breed champions, and what they've done to continue the legacy of what the Haydens have accomplished. They've got a big group down there of kids that are working hard and still working with Raj.
Yeah, that doesn't mean everybody's got to move to Owensboro, Kentucky, by the way.
No, but it wouldn't be a bad start.
Now in the race today, we have 2 racers that are in that group. Of course, it's Jake Lewis and JD Beach. And Jason, looking at those 2 riders, I mean, a disaster yesterday for JD Beach, and Jake Lewis just trying to close that gap to get up to that lead group.
No question. At the beginning of the race, we had 7 riders, and those 2 guys were right in the thick of it. JD seemed to kind of move forward, then got balked a little bit in the middle. Jake was there for most of the race, but like you said, just struggled a little bit from midway on. So we'll see if he can make amends of that today in race 2.
We're looking forward to seeing what they have in store for the rest of the field. We'll take a break here on FS2. On the other side, Hannah Lope is going to take us on the grid walk. So hang tight. We'll be back in a moment. Welcome back to Utah Motorsports Campus here in Tooele, Utah. You can see that the EBC Brakes Superbike competitors have made their way around the course to take the grid, and Hannah is with JD Beach.
JD, not the best start to the weekend yesterday, had some bad luck. What are you going to do today to turn that luck around?
Yeah, I mean, I'm honestly just not even going to think about the race from yesterday. I mean, it's racing, stuff's going to happen, and those lows are what makes the highs feel good. And it's a new day. We'll go racing and try and get a good start. And I mean, I know the group is going to be tight, so maybe I can get out front and go and push a little bit. But we're just going to try and put ourselves there at the end of the race.
Thanks, JD. Good luck out there. Another rider that was so close to a podium finish yesterday was Josh Herron. Let's see what he has to say. Josh, we saw you kind of make a little bit of a mistake there during the race yesterday and run off to miss your chance for a podium. What happened there?
No, I didn't run off. I just yesterday was a lot of riding and had some back issues and just needed to stretch it out. It was either come in or do a couple slow laps to try and get the thing a little bit better. Hopefully today, with a lot less riding, I have a little bit more time to let the inflammation go down and we'll have a good race. The bike was working really good yesterday. Felt like we had what it took, was going to take to win, and then just hit me out of nowhere. So not really much I could do, just stretch, put some ice on it, and hope for the best today. But Yoshimura Suzuki is running really good this weekend, and hopefully we can get up on the box today.
Thanks, Josh. Now, one rider in that battle of 7 bikes yesterday who did make it to the podium for his second time this season was Matthew Sculls. Matt, you've been riding really well here this weekend. What is it about this track or about your bike setup that's really working for you here?
I definitely think it's a track that maybe suits the bigger guys. There's quite a few hard braking zones. There's lots of corners, not too many straights. So I think it definitely suits me and the Westby bike. Yesterday's race was really positive for us, and just hopefully I can be up front battling with the factory boys again today. I know that my dad's watching back home, so happy Father's Day, Dad. I love you.
Thanks, Matt.
All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, more from Utah Motorsports Campus as the EBC Brakes Superbike class gets closer and closer to the race start. Can Cameron Beaubier make up for yesterday? We're going to find out.
Typically, when Dunlop would roll out a new Hypersport tire or Sport Touring tire, we take the tire it replaced and take it off the shelf, and we just have one tire in either the Sport Touring segment or the Hypersport segment. And so what we did is we brought 3 more tires into the market. So for Sport Touring, we brought the Sport Max Road Smart 2. If you're a customer that's not riding all the miles and you still want great wet or dry traction, the Sport Max Road Smart 2 will be the tire for you. And in Hypersport, we brought in the Sport Max GPR 300, which is our budget tire. The next step up is the Sport Max Road Sport 2. It's going to get a little better wet and dry traction than the GPR 300. For a budget-friendly, all-around good tire, the Road Sport 2 is going to be for you. On Sport Touring, we have the Road Smart 3. It's really the best-in-class Sport Touring mileage tire. Now, the Q3 Plus is the only Hypersport tire that is manufactured in the United States. Its research and development team is located right here in Buffalo, New York. The testing that we do with that tire happens in Huntsville, Alabama. You've got multi-tread, so you're going to get better mileage than you would out of the rest of our Hypersport lineup, and you still get that great traction and grip that you're used to seeing with the Q3 tires. The Sport Max Q4 is for that weekend warrior, and it's a non-tire warming track day tire. It's street legal. In fact, it's designed by the same engineers that designed the slicks for MotoAmerica. It's built on the same machines as those slicks that are built in MotoAmerica. So if you're not ready for the slick, but you want to improve those lap times at the track, the Q4 is a tire for you.
All right, after 2 great days of racing here at Utah Motorsports Campus, deeply embedded Dunlop rubber throughout this 2.2-mile road course. As we are at round 5, day number 2, let's take a look at the track map, Jason. Presented by Dunlop, and as you can tell, it's 2.2-mile course. Definitely favors those who love left-handers. 10 of those, 5 on the right side, constructed back in 2006. Now, Jason, obviously 15 corners in this one, but want to take a look at the Suzuki track hot spots because you have some key parts to this race.
Definitely this first turn. Again, Greg, we talk about it. That short run down to turn 1. There's a couple patches there the riders have been concerned with. We've seen some passing. We've seen some accidents down there throughout the weekend, so it's kind of a tricky corner. Turn 4, not so much passing as I thought there would be going in there, but we've definitely seen some rubbing and close racing as they go down into this next turn, which was turn 5, down to turn 6 and 7. Double apex, you see those patches again in the middle. This is where we saw J.D. Beach make a small mistake yesterday just by running off, and when he tried to rejoin the track, caught a couple edges there and tipped off. So that goes up into the attitudes. You make your way through all that section, you're going to end up in turn 13. This is really a primary passing spot towards the ends of races. Even in the beginning of them, we'll see some moving and shaking. 2 laps from there is the start-finish line, so that's really your last big shot.
All right, we'll take another break. When we come back, the Championship of Utah gets closer to race start here on FS2's coverage of MotoAmerica. Fox Sports coverage of MotoAmerica Superbike racing from Utah is brought to you by EBC Brakes, the official brakes of the 2019 MotoAmerica Superbike Series. All right, you can see the grid is clearing, which means it's time to bring you the starting grid and how they qualified yesterday. Cameron Beaubier, Tony Elias, Garrett Gerloff on the front row.
Then we got Matthew Sculls from second place yesterday. Greg, see if we can duplicate that. Josh Herron, hope he's feeling a little bit better today. And JD Beach, feeling like I probably think JD's got some stuff to prove to himself today. I think he can run up there. Jake Lewis, row 3. Cameron Peterson, who we didn't get to see finish yesterday, so hopefully he can. David Anthony's back there on row 3. Then we got Jason Uribe. Great to see him flying the Honda colors. Jake Gagne, who I had a quick chat with this morning. And Kyle Wyman is going to round out row 4. We go further back, Greg, to Matthew Orange, Max Flinders, Sam Verterico, and Jeremy Coffey rounds out our field in row 6.
Max Flinders making a comment that he had no brakes yesterday, and it was a bit of a disaster to the team working late to get everything hooked up in warm-up this morning. For Flinders, seems like they've been able to get that sorted out, so we expect to see Flinders with better lap times today, and good luck to him and his team on this Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there watching.
Absolutely.
As we have a beautiful onboard shot. This is with Josh Herron, and you can see for Herron, he talked to Hannah about his back flaring up. And remember, Jason, last year, Josh Herron at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, just a couple weeks away, a year ago, was doing both MotoAmerica EBC Brakes Superbike races and World Superbike in the same race weekend. And that's part of what he was referencing, that the amount of riding that he did yesterday. We had so much riding, those sessions that it flared up his back. And
it's a track that keeps you
busy.
Real busy. So it's very physical racetrack. And you know what? Anybody out there who's ever had a back problem knows exactly what that feels like, because sometimes those are the lingering ones that take longer to go away as far as the pain levels and just the aggravation of it all. So here's a look at our championship points coming in today, Greg. Cameron went out of MotoAmerica, I believe, only 7 points back. Kind of got with Tony's mistake there in the last turn. And just like that yesterday, Tony opens that gap back up to 21 points over the factory Yamaha rider. Tony Elias is who I'm speaking with, speaking about leading the points right now. And we're going to see the same thing as we saw yesterday. We're going to have 6 or 7 people.
Let's get down to Hannah with our Cycle Gear Last Minute Report. Hi, Hannah.
Hi, guys. So yesterday you may have noticed that Cameron Peterson retired from the race. It was so busy up front, but I touched base with Cam, and he said that during the race he saw an error code on his motorcycle, and eventually it started to overheat, causing him to pull in as to not damage the motorcycle any further. So that was a bummer for him, but the team was here working late last night, and hopefully he'll be good to go for today's race.
All right, thanks, Hannah. So, overheating. Oh, up here at Utah Motorsports Campus, how unusual. That's sarcastic, because
he's been riding good, too. So,
all right, so here it is, race start. Race number 2, EBC Brakes Superbike. How is this one going to play out? On a full fuel load yesterday, Tony Elias wasn't as comfortable. Did they get that sorted out? We know Cam Beaubier has a potential to go a lot faster. Here we go. So it's the mad dash to turn 1. Tony Elias with a good launch, but Cameron Beaubier will lead us in.
Yep, Cameron Beaubier leads him in, and Garrett Gerloff slots himself into 3rd like we saw yesterday. Big tussle going for 4th right now between, looks like, JD Beach. I can't tell, is it Matthew? Let's have a look. Cameron Beaubier, no. So Matthew Sculls, it was between JD and Garrett Gerloff. So Matthew Sculls, my mistake, is slotted himself into that 3rd spot.
Tony Elias with a better start for himself, feeling out the front end of his GSXR 1000. That factory machine, race winner yesterday, played it just right. We know from the post-race interview with Hannah that Tony Elias said that the bike felt better and better and better as the fuel load started to drop. Now, not tremendous fuel loads here up at this altitude, not some of the fuel loads we've seen at other racetracks, but still, when you put that much weight right underneath Tony's chest, sometimes it can load up the front end of that motorcycle and make it feel a little bit uncomfortable.
Yep. And, I think that the pattern that we saw yesterday was a group of 6-7 guys not really going anywhere. This guy was leading, and look at what he's done so far, Greg. Right now, Cameron Beaubier has pulled the trigger and has opened up a small little gap already to Tony. We didn't see that yesterday at all. So maybe Cameron found something with his team. You can see how tight these guys go into that right-hand corner there. 2 turns from the end, turn 12. But Cameron has kind of pulled the pin early here. Maybe they found something overnight that made the bike a little bit more rideable, a little bit better. And that, along with Tony talking about the bike maybe feeling a little uneasy during with a full fuel load. Garrett Gerloff trying to make a pass on Matthew Sculls early as they go into turn 1.
Nice
big
by
pass.
Gerloff. So tight he threw that corner. Gerloff gets it done. He sees his teammates starting to set sail off in the distance. Cameron Beaubier, by the way, a tire choice on the rear side. He chose extra soft Dunlops in the front and rear for this one. He said yesterday, Jason, that he was surprised that no one was going past him because he knew he was about a second off. And Cameron Beaubier has already done a 30.7 from a dead stop.
Yeah. And you know, you're looking right now, and I'm looking at Garrett Gerloff. He's got a ton of pace as well. He wants to try to get by Tony Elias as quickly as he can so that he can do the same thing as Cameron Beaubier is doing out front. The Yamahas look really strong right now.
And for Cameron Beaubier, that extra soft compound choice for him allows him just better feel throughout the entire motorcycle, mid-corner, and he just feels like it hooks up better. Makes the bike feel like he wants it to feel. It wasn't comfortable yesterday. Oh, Tony's got some decals hanging off the side.
Garrett might take a shot at him down here in turn 13, and well, Yoshimura Suzuki still very fast coming down there. So he's not able to quite get close enough. Tony runs it really tight into turn 14. And Matthew Sculls, we see Josh Herron just on the back of this group, and then just behind them right now, Jake Lewis is trying to keep in touch with these guys. See what he does, Greg. Minute 29.7.
Wow.
Wow, that is fast. That is really fast because
a 29.8 was qualifying time.
I was just going to say qualifying was in the 29s as well. So that's from a standing start. Cameron right now, I think he's got to start thinking he's got to put some race wins together. He can't let Tony get a lot of momentum as we head off to Laguna Seca, WeatherTech Laguna Seca. He knows that Tony knows that his whole family's coming to town that weekend as far as the World Superbike crew from overseas. Tony's done really well there in front of them in the past. So Cameron right now is trying to open up that data, and he has, Greg. 1.4 seconds after lap 1.
By the way, looking at Garrett Gerloff, he had a mechanical issue. His bike was not 100% when he came across the line yesterday, and his team figured that out right away and made those repairs. We're here till about 7:30, 8 o'clock last night, making the repairs of that motorcycle. So Gerloff, when I was speaking with him earlier today, was coming into this race with just a ton of confidence, but not as much as after warm-up. Cameron Beaubier did a 1:30.1 in warm-up this morning.
Saw that.
And just felt perfect. He led the way, and he had a ton of confidence. And of course, we know yesterday it was a bit of a disaster, and if Beaubier wants to make up anything on Tony Elias, who sends the rear wheel in the air, hard braking in this one, he's got to have some of these riders to put some daylight between. He needs people to fill some holes, because losing 5 points to Cameron Beaubier, Tony Elias at this point in the championship isn't really going to put a dent in what Beaubier really needs to accomplish.
Yeah, because the lead that Elias had built up for himself going into Road America was just swiped away really quickly by one little small mistake that he made in the last right-hander, and it just tightened this points gap back up. And then he comes and wins yesterday with Cameron finishing a little bit further back and forth. Man, all of a sudden that points gap gets back up. Garrett Gerloff could do that, do his teammate a lot of favors right now if he could figure out his way past Tony Elias right now.
Yeah, because when you have a team, and this is part of the strategy of having a team, having a two-rider team, is if one of your riders is involved in a championship and your other rider can influence how those points are, it makes a big difference. Josh Herron, looking at just Josh's riding right now, just a lot of laps, Jason. 23 around here, no place to rest. Josh Herron, I hope that his back is feeling okay. He said he got it stretched out, but we really know as this race wears on for him.
And just the difference between yesterday's race and this race is obviously the pace. That's why we're not seeing these guys bunched up like they were yesterday. The pace today is so much faster. 30.1. You know, we saw Cam Beaubier get into the 29s right off the bat. So Beaubier set a very fierce pace at the front. All these other guys are going along with him right now. Even Matthew Sculls, looking up on our board, has gone green, which is his fastest 2 first splits on our screen. So the pace overall for the first, 4 laps, Greg, is faster than it was yesterday.
Yeah, but the margin right now is 1.5 seconds.
Yeah.
And I got to be honest, with what we've seen out of Tony Elias, 1.5, which now turns into 1.8.
Yep.
Okay, it's grown.
Yep.
But it's only lap 5.
Yep.
When that fuel load starts to drop and Tony gets more comfortable and starts to figure out what he has available in terms of traction, how his bike is working, when we get to the halfway point of this thing, that's really going to start telling the story if Cameron Beaubier has built up enough of a lead. I'm not saying that Tony Elias is going to all of a sudden start doing faster laps, but history's shown us that he has the possibility to do it.
Beaubier getting a little bit out of shape out of turn 4 or out of turn 5. Greg, I think the thing that you're saying that will also add to his confidence will be that if he starts to see his board say +1,
meaning
Tony Elias,
yeah.
Once he realizes that he doesn't really have a lot of pressure from behind, he'll be able to run his race, run his lines, try to keep eyes focused on where Cameron Beaubier is up in front of him. And really, you're right, past that halfway point will be the real teller to see how much he has in the tank.
And in the points championship, it's only 21. So it's not like if Tony gets into a position where he throws caution to the wind, he could lose the points lead if Beaubier wins. Suzuki track weather that we have here in the area, you can see 81 degrees, so a bit warm. 6-mile-an-hour wind, so very mild for the Tuella Valley this time of year. Usually we see winds really whipping around. It's just been a fantastic couple of days since we've been at Utah Motorsports Campus. So this EBC Brakes Superbike class, Cameron Beaubier leads from Tony Elias, Garrett Gerloff. Things have started to spread out a bit. Matthew Sculls, JD Beach, Josh Herron, Jake Lewis in 7th spot, Jake Gagne in 8th, Cameron Peterson and Kyle Wyman with Jason Uribe.
And there you go, Greg. 30.1 from Tony Elias in 2nd place. Took that gap, and maybe people at home might not think it's much. It went from 1.8 to 1.7, and that gap now has kind of started to stop. He's not getting pulled away from as much now. So Tony's going to notice that. I mean, that's what he's going to do. He's paced himself. He's seeing what's going on. He's going to keep grinding these laps down. He realizes he's only on lap 6 of 23, and you can see the separation of the pace up front and what it has done. JD Beach is now falling quite a ways behind Matthew Sculls. He's got Herron just behind him. Jake Lewis is actually trying to close up on these two right now. 31 flat the last time by for Jake Lewis on that M4 X-Star bike, just in the back there on the yellow.
If this is your first time watching EBC Brakes Superbike here at MotoAmerica, no communication between crew and riders allowed in motorcycle road racing. So the only time the riders get communication from their pit is a pit board on start-finish line. Luckily for Cameron Beaubier at this point, these laps are relatively short, Jason, 1 minute 30 seconds because of the length of the racetrack and the rolling speed as well. So at this point, we watch JD Beach leading Josh Herron, the number 2. Cameron Beaubier out front. Tony Elias, Garrett Gerloff, Matthew Sculls. Who has got it to the finish line on this one? We're getting ready to find out. Great onboard shot with Josh Herron.
Yeah, I love looking at this shot. You can really see how physical this track is and what these riders go through. He's going to switch it back over to the right. He'll probably stay here through this next big fast right. This is going to be 3rd gear, probably almost on the limiter. Back over to the left, 1 downshift into 2nd, Greg. This is going to all be 2nd, and you can see JD Beach just in front of him. He's trying to figure out a way through. Sounds like he might have even gone back to 1st there, and then he'll short shift it maybe up to 2nd. But yeah, very, very busy. Very rarely are you in the middle of the seat, and he's really trying to line up a pass on JD right now.
JD Beach, Attack Performance, Estenson Racing, Yamaha, also racing in the American Flat Track Series. And Jason, what's very interesting about this altitude, we talked about 5,000 feet. I was talking to Richard Stamboli from Attack Performance. We were talking about performance of the engines up here. One of the things to note is normally meaning Attack Performance Yamaha, likes to run around 74 to 85 degrees centigrade in terms of the actual temperature that you would read. Up here in the race yesterday, when JD was behind riders, it was running about 96 C. When he was by himself like he is now, meaning he's pushing air, it's about 93. So there is a little bit of performance robbed just because of the altitude that we're at, and the engines naturally run a lot warmer. You lose about 12 to 15% horsepower when you come up to this altitude for a variety of reasons.
Yeah, there's no doubt, and you really got to keep an eye on that temp gauge. And a lot of tracks that you go to, as a rider, you don't run. Josh Herron rolls right up underneath. Rolls up underneath. He looks like he's got some pace on JD Beach, does Josh Herron. So he was able to make a nice clean pass there. So we're going to keep an eye on his lap times now and see what he can do. But yeah, this is the one track where the crew chiefs are always like, hey, keep an eye on that temp gauge just so we kind of know where things are. And you can see here, Greg, good to see Jake Lewis battling there up there with these guys. Looking at lap times again, they were all in the 31s. JD might have been holding up Herron just a little bit, but that's yet to be determined. We'll see if JD can go with him, and maybe they can bridge that gap up to Matthew Sculls.
Attack Performance, Essenson Racing of JD Beach is obviously the crew on the motorcycle working on chatter on that motorcycle, and so there were some minor fork adjustments done this morning. They thought they had that sorted out, but it might be back out. We heard Kyle Wyman on the Ducati has gone right through pit lane. Not sure what happened to Kyle, so if you're a Ducati fan, he's now down in 14th spot, at least for the moment on our scoring screens.
Yep, there's a good look at Matthew Sculls, still within reach of this podium. Gerloff just there up there in front of him.
Now, Jason, last time by the stripe, Tony Elias was a 30.8, and Cam Beaubier was 0.7 of a second quicker. So we're going to hit start finish line now. So we're going to see if maybe that was a mistake from Elias last time by.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. It comes down to 1.7, wasn't it? And then next thing you know, 0.7. And now they've gone through again, Greg. That gap is at 2.3, so he did knock a 10th off. So for sure, Tony must have just made a small mistake somewhere. I did notice it because I saw Gerloff had gotten closer to him as they went down into turn one. There's a little bit a battle further back between Jake Gagne, Cameron Peterson, and I believe it's Jason Uribe back there with those guys. So these three are in a personal little fight. We got a BMW, a Yamaha, and a Honda. Talking to Gagne a little bit today when I saw him in the pits. He looked like he's walking around just a little bit better. Said he's fairly happy with things. Still working on getting that BMW, that Hayes BMW, where it needs to be, and just continuing to get himself healthy. I mean, it's really hard when you've been trying to ride this bike with a physical deficit, and that's kind of what Jake has had.
And also, Jason, one of the things that Steve Scheibe was telling me that Jake Gagne, he always does his fastest laps of the weekend in the race. And so that race one is very critical to get them to race two and make some adjustments. All right, let's get down to Hannah, third member of our team. What's going on, Hannah?
A few minutes ago, Jason mentioned that this is such a physical track, so I wanted to ask you, the riders spend so much time on the side of the tire. Is there a particular manufacturer or a particular rider that's really a strong suit of theirs?
Well, yeah, it's a good question because we've seen the Suzukis have been a little bit more point and shoot, like how Tony rides. I think Cameron doesn't mind spending a little bit more time on the edges of the tires. The Yamaha also seems to work really good as far as tire wear goes. So, and if you really watch the efficiency of which Cameron Beaubier rides, and we've said this many times before, the efficiency level that he has really allows him to continue to push the pace throughout. That said, that time came down again, Greg, 2.1, so it's just a 10th. It's a 10th a lap, but what that does is it gives you a little bit of confidence if you're Elias there in second and you see Cameron start coming back. But for sure, Hannah, answering back to your question, the efficiency of which this guy rides right now, Beaubier up in front, and I believe the tire wear, the Yamaha, it doesn't mind being on the edge a little bit.
Now, when Jason talks about efficiency, watch Cameron Beaubier's body. Watch when he transitions from different spots on the racetrack. Look how little movement there is on his body. And Jason, I had a talk with Cameron Beaubier about that exact topic this morning. And he said, yeah, I feel like for some of the other riders, I ride more efficiently. And he trains a lot. I mean, obviously, these are some of the top athletes in the world in physical conditioning. And Beaubier said after 23 laps racing here yesterday, he was tired.
Yep, absolutely, because that's what it is. It is really a physical track, and there is nobody more efficient than him on the track. I used to say the same thing about Josh Hayes as well, and you can see Kyle Wyman again coming back in. So
Hannah told us yesterday that Kyle and his SC Project KWR Ducati had some not overheating issues. It wasn't overheating, but it was running really, really hot.
Getting a little nervous about it?
Yeah, and so the possibility that something like that may be going on again, hard to say at this point, but if Kyle's in for good, I'm sure Hannah will have a report on it. So the Ducatisti, the race fans for the Ducati V4R, disappointed that Kyle Wyman is back in the pits on this one. Beaubier now with a 2.5 second lead. Oh, they're doing some work on something up there, so it doesn't seem like it might have been that. Yeah, something else going on.
30.4 that time by for Cameron Beaubier. Increased his lead to 2.5 as they continue to try to figure out what is going on with Kyle Wyman's Ducati. It's funny, Greg, because that bike really has done a lot of laps this year. We haven't seen it in the pits much. So whatever it did, it looked like it was, I don't know, something clutch, or I don't know what they could have been maybe trying to adjust up in that front area like that.
And by the way, the motor is still stock. It's a stock motor. They purchased that off a showroom floor, more or less. And that's the same one they've been running all season. So They have a second one, and after this race weekend, they're going to change it out and run that stock motor probably till the end.
Yeah, right.
Did you see Cam right there? He just got up on that inside of that curb, and that just made my heart skip a beat for just a moment.
And we've seen some riders. Matt Mladen comes to play in my mind of him touching that inside curbing and falling down through there as well. So yeah, I saw the same thing you did.
I was just like, wow. Last time by the way, Beaubier 30.4, Tony Elias 30.7. So it's not the march forward that we've seen. Actually, Garrett Gerloff at a 30.5. It looks like he's starting to reel in Tony Elias at the moment, and this would be exactly what this guy wants, Cameron Beaubier. So let's see now. We got another look at lap time. There's start-finish line. We're going to do a full lap on the onboards here, Jason. So listen to Cameron Beaubier and tell us what are you listening for?
Well, you're going to hear an upshift out of here, Greg. This is going to be a really fast ride. I want to hear if he goes back to first. You hear it up to third. It's going to be back to second. Yep, back there, and then into this very tight right-hand turn 5. Probably a short shift out of here. It sounds it's a little bit off to me, Greg, right now, so it's throwing me off a little bit. But this is fast turn 6 as they go down towards the 7-8 double apex area. Pay attention too, Greg, that there's no lag between roll off to downshifts. They happen very quickly. It's going to be there's not a lot of coasting, let's just say. Then that's what you're going to hear from the onboard cameras. A lot of the top riders. There's not going to be a lot of coasting time from the time you roll the throttle off and get that downshift done.
Through the attitudes now into turn 11. This is Tuella corner. Tuella turn into the kink, and now they're going to head off into the clubhouse. You can see that building right in front of you is the clubhouse, so it's clubhouse corner. Into turn 14, it's going to be the windup. Right-hand corner, you can listen to those downshifts being done quickly, and then into release. Onto the front straightaway goes Beaubier.
He likes to run it really tight on the exit there of those curbings. I was watching this morning. We had our camera guys got some really good replays of him running it real tight there. Let's look at here, 2.4. So they basically ran the same lap time, did the 2 leaders, Beaubier and Elias.
That's 2 in a row. So a look at JD Beach being hounded by Jake Lewis as Cameron Beaubier continues to lead from Tony Elias, Garrett Gerloff, Matthew Sculls, and Josh Herron. This battle for 6th rages on just at about the halfway point of this race. So JD Beach, we really thought, talking to Richard Stamboli, and JD felt good. He was really confident. Oh, rider down.
Looks like a bike was in the air fence there, didn't it, Greg? Yeah, I saw the dirt. So I'm gonna look at the first splits and see if there's any of our front runners don't make it through that first split. So it looks like the first 3 guys have. It looks like Matthew has not gone through the first split, Greg. So I'm concerned that could be Matthew Sculls in that turn 6 area.
Yeah, because it didn't look like it happened immediately. Like
it is Matthew.
There was dust. So it looks like Matthew Sculls might be out of this one. Yep, it is. So there is the Westby Racing Yamaha, number 11 bike down. So Sculls out of this one. He crashed himself out of 5th place. So that's going to move Josh Herron. Actually, Sculls was in 4th, I think, wasn't
Sculls
he?
was in 4th,
yeah,
exactly
so it's going
right.
to move Herron up to
4th. This is the battle for 5th here, isn't it?
Yep, just like that.
We've seen Jake finish 5th a few times this year, have we not? And there's Matthew. So he got buried in that Road Racing World air fence that so many people have donated to, and you can see Matthew looks a little worse for wear right now. I'm hoping he can just get himself up over that. And it looks like we got a red flag, Greg. Yeah, I think that air fence, it looked like he had maybe slid underneath it. He was getting up, which was good to see. He was covered in dust. Looked like his visor had gone off. There he is. He's up and he's okay now. He must have lost the front very, very early, because that is the beginning of where the air fence actually is. And if you look, Greg, you can see that the air fence just started at that spot. So
yeah, I'm just hoping he got to the air fence.
I am too. Yes.
So Cameron Beaubier leads this one. There's 11 laps to go in this race. We're going to take a break. On the other side of this commercial break, we'll get things sorted out here for the EBC Brakes Superbike class here for MotoAmerica.
Yeah, it's good to see Kyle Wyman stopped and give Matthew a ride back. I'm just happy to see Matthew up and okay. The visor obviously he must have hit his head a little bit, Greg, because the visor is gone. And yeah.
All right, so Tony in. Now again, I don't think unless Dunlop decides they can change tires, they're going to have to restart the race on these tires.
Yeah, that's what they're doing.
But the crew can do anything that they want in terms of so this may play into the hands of Tony Elias if the team can identify something. Oftentimes what happens, Jason, is teams will say, okay, we've tested something we're trying to fix. We're going in a direction, so let's go ahead and take a little bit of a gamble for the race, a little bit of a risk for the race. Don't know if that happened with Tony, but if that's the case and they said, oh, it didn't work, now here's an opportunity to make some changes.
What you got to remember is that 2.5 second lead, 2.4 second lead that Beaubier had built up was really just kind of, it wasn't really getting any bigger, was it? From about the last 6 laps.
Yep.
So the tires probably are pretty close from Beaubier to Elias's bike. I think this is a good, obviously this is going to really help Tony, but Gerloff as well. I think Gerloff's got some pacing. He's going to really be focusing on that start to try to get up there. So
saw some ice going into the back of Josh Herron. So obviously his back's still bothering him. So at the moment we're looking at 11-lap restart. We'll see what MotoAmerica does, but it was Cameron Beaubier ahead of Tony Elias by 2.4 seconds. Gerloff at 3.3. Matthew Sculls was 6.1 back. It's a one-bike rule, so it's not like Sculls can go in and jump on another bike, so it looks like his race might be done.
Oh yeah, that bike didn't. They were trying to get it from underneath the air fence out there.
Protective leathers doing their job.
Not going to do much, is it?
No. Just one of those race weekends where you just like, all right, let's get out of here.
Yeah, we got a podium yesterday, so he's definitely riding a high. It was good to see Matthew and the Westby team back on the podium yesterday, and yeah, today just ended a little bit different.
All right, so Ed, his crew chief, will have a conversation with Matthew to find out what happened in that incident. As they're going to clean up that spot, and then they will replace that air fence. And for those that are been around motorcycle road racing a long time, that is Tom Kipp, left with the white MotoAmerica shirt on. Tom Kipp, the rider liaison, isn't that right, Jason?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And another guy that I had the pleasure of sharing the track with, 600 Super Sport champ. Yeah, Tommy was around for a lot of years.
Let's get down to Hannah.
All right, Tony, so this restart here is a big opportunity for you to close that gap between you and Cam. How's the race been going so far?
Well, it's not bad. Always here in Utah, the big track was better for us. The little layout is worse and always been a stronger part of Yamaha's in the previous years. So yesterday was not normal what happened, but today come back to the reality, Cameron here is always so strong. They improve a lot from yesterday. The pace was incredible. But from now on, that was start my race, Less gasoline, better front contact, more rear grip. I start to feel comfortable. I start to close a little bit the gap. But I think, now I'm lucky. This is good for me. But he's strong today, so anything can happen. We'll see if we can put some riders in the middle, like yesterday.
Thanks, Tony.
What'd you get out of that?
He's coming.
He's happy.
He's coming.
And he says, I got good front grip. That means that I'm pretty happy with things in the front. Things that kind of subsided.
Once that fuel load started to drop.
Correct.
And they're not going to, by the way, they're not going to fill it up.
Right.
They're not going to fill up the tank. So they may add a little bit of fuel just to make sure he can get around. It depends on what MotoAmerica is going to do. But so he's going to start basically on a tank, have enough fuel in there that's going to go the distance.
That's
so
right.
What he came off the track with is pretty much what he's going to go back on the track with.
Exactly right. Yeah, this is a shot out the back of Tony Elias's bike, looking at Matthew Sculls here at the beginning of our race, just some maybe 25, 30 minutes ago. But yeah, he made the acknowledgement that the Yamaha, this is kind of a track that they felt like they do really well at. That the Yosh guys thought the Yamaha would be do well here, and it did.
A little bit of a long face on that guy.
Cameron Beaubier doesn't even look tired.
He doesn't. But I'm sure that this little bit of a rest is good for everybody, especially Josh Herron in his back as well as, you know, getting hydrated again. But Cam, he doesn't look happy, because I think if you look at the rest of the field, the person who benefits the most from this red flag is everyone but Cameron Beaubier. Well, obviously not Matthew Sculls.
Yeah, poor Matthew, yeah. And even that battle, even behind of Gagne and Peterson and Uribe, those guys were all tied together. So
you can see some activity going on down there in Josh Herron's pit. You see the computer, you know, the computer's getting working in overtime, so obviously they probably grabbed the data. There's the number 11 back in its pit box, and that tank cowling, which really is, you can see the air box is where a traditional tank would be. So the tank itself is actually down below, like you actually sit on the tank itself. You can see there's that big silver part. So they're taking a look at some critical components right away. What are the wiring? What's the electronics? How did the electronics make it out? And what are some of the wiring bits and pieces? And then there's other people that are going to start looking at the chassis to make sure that those pieces, but that doesn't look like that bike's repairable at all. No. So it looks like Matthew Sculls will be out of this one.
Unfortunately, it looked like it slid underneath that air fence and maybe made contact with that barrier behind it. That's what made a mess of it.
Chuck Giacchetto saying in MotoGP style, get out of here.
Yes.
Let's get down to Hannah with Kyle Wyman. What's going on?
Okay, Kyle, so we saw you roll through the pit lane and eventually you pulled back in. What's going on, and what does this red flag mean for you and your team?
Yeah, so it's pretty much the same thing as yesterday, but a little bit worse. You know, got in a group there with Gagne and Peterson, and I was trying to get by him so I could get some clean air to cool the thing down. But yeah, we raised the target for where the high water warning comes on, and I was still hitting it. I mean, like close to 120, and I was like 122 at one point, and I started getting water sprayed up. So I said, all right, I better come in and try to rectify this. So it's a shame, but you know, if we have a short restart and I get scored on the, you know, I get to be back on the lead lap, then you know, a few laps, I'll run her in. I don't care. I want to put this SC Project Ducati up front.
Thanks, Kyle.
All right, so Jason, you know, I was talking to Darren Marshall, who works on the electronic side for that program, and what Kyle's talking about is that they can actually set to where it starts to give you a warning on the dashboard. So it was set a lot lower, kind of like in a stock configuration. I think somewhere in the neighborhood of like 108 or something like that, 109 Cs. I can't remember exactly, but so what they did is they decided to just move that up because they knew that the motor could handle a certain level. And so, but obviously what's going on is we talk about that air. You need air to keep these things cool, and especially this big V twin, or inline four. I mean V4. Sorry, the V4 of this motorcycle. V4. It generates tremendous amounts of heat, and it's not like it's a stock radiator. It's a Superbike radiator, which is designed for that. But you know, up here, if you're in a group and you're just not getting clean air, it can really starve the engine of any cooling that it can have. So it's unfortunate that we have this altitude with this Ducati, but it's the first time a Ducati's really been up here at race pace.
And that's what Darren and I talked about as well, because I spoke to Darren Marshall also yesterday, and he just basically gave me a rundown of, you know, there's not really anybody else here on these things. There's you're looking at certain stuff, and yeah, so they're just on their own doing their thing. They get some help from Ducati course, but it's a tough road.
All right, well, race fans looking out, waiting for the race start of this EBC Brakes Superbike class. And I think Hannah has our race leader, Cameron Beaubier.
Cam, leading by quite a margin there. Do you find this red flag to be a disadvantage for you?
Yeah, you know, it's kind of a bummer. I crossed the line and it was just, you know, we made it halfway, and I was feeling really good. My R1 was working great. Yeah, you know, it's a bummer to have to go line up with those guys and try to do it again, but that's what we're going to do, and that's what racing's all about. So yeah, it's going to be a dogfight there to the end. Garrett and Tony are ripping. Yeah, we'll see what we got.
Thanks, Cam.
All right, Jason, if we look at fastest laps of the race so far, on lap 2, Cam did a 29.7. He's 0.4 of a second quicker than anyone else, which was Tony. He did a 30.1. Garrett has done a 30.3. Matthew, who knows, out 30.3, and so on. The question becomes, what kind of tire game has Cameron Beaubier played? Did he use up too much, play it just right, because now you've got a heat cycle on the tires. They're not totally cool, but you still put them on a tire warmer, and that's not exactly the tire temperature. So I think it's going to come down for me to how the tires are going to hold up in these last 11, 10 laps, whatever we get left.
He really took advantage of the new tire, really. I mean, to start the race. I mean, that's what he did. He took advantage of that tire more than anybody. It's a good look at Jake Lewis, who currently is sitting in, well, it says 7th, but it will actually be 6th. So when you look at, it's good to see Jake with a smile on his face and, up there battling with JD right now. But no, the thing is that Cameron he was so fast early. Full take of fuel, brand new tires. Tony likes tires to be a little bit more worn and less fuel. So this is a little bit of a hold-up. We understand that our race is going to be 10 laps when we do our restart. The guys are just out there working hard, getting that air fence back up, put into place.
And that's why we're holding these things up. We make sure that all safety is in place. So like Jason said, it's going to be 10-lap restart race. We're going to restart in the order of which lap 12 happened. So it's going to be pole position, Cam Beaubier, Tony Elias, Garrett Gerloff. We'll have to see if Matthew Sculls declares he can't start. It would be Josh Herron in 4th. We'll see how MotoAmerica deals with that. Then JD Beach, Jake Lewis, Jake Gagne, Cam Peterson will be on a row, Jason Uribe, Matthew Orange, Jeremy Coffey. With Kyle Wyman, I know what he said in his interview, Jay, but he's credited with 9 laps. So he will be
a lap down.
Yeah, in 15th spot. So it actually looks like he's going to be 3 laps down.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so 12 laps completed, 9 for the 33 right here.
He can still go get some valuable laps in and still get on the back of a couple of the guys that he was racing with prior. And we saw JD Beach just before that. Dirt trackers love restarts. So
dirt trackers love restarts.
They do. He's ready to go. I guarantee you JD will be hanging it out.
So this will be our MotoAmerica quick start procedure. So riders will get to go out and do a sighting lap. Then they'll take the grid, one mechanic over the wall real quick, and then we'll get a warm-up lap and grid and go. So it looks like the air fence is taken care of. I think we're somewhere in the neighborhood of 3 minutes or so getting this thing.
Saw guys getting their helmets and stuff back on.
So 3 minutes or so, and then of course after the EBC Brakes Superbike class concludes and we have a winner. You don't want to go anywhere here on our MotoAmerica Live Plus coverage, because we still have some races coming up. 2 Stock 1000, be a 14-lap affair, and then the Twins Cup race, 13 laps. You don't want to miss that. It looks like it might be a big battle between Ducati and Suzuki in that one.
Yep, it does.
Yeah.
Old and the new.
Old and the new. 16-year-old Alex Dumas on pole for the Twins, and
Michael Barnes. We don't need to mention any names for Michael.
Michael Barnes, P2 on that one.
Still doing the business. That's all that matters.
Yes. Let's check back in with Hannah.
I just talked to Cam Peterson. The guys are getting ready to go back out on their bikes, but I said, Cam, how's the bike feeling today? Because he had such issues with it yesterday, and he said the red light was on, and he was actually going to pull in that lap because the bike was overheating again today. Wow. So he got a really lucky break there. They're getting that bike cooled back down, and hopefully he'll be able to go the duration of the rest of this race without any other issues. So some good luck for him today.
That's lucky, yeah. Those Omega Motors guys have done a good job for Cameron Peterson this year. I really think that Cam's riding super well, and we saw even at Road America, I think he was on the 2nd row there. And but when that bike starts to overheat, you don't want to do anything bad for your team. So it's Josh Hayes tearing Garrett Gerloff right now. Get a start. Just get a start and go. We got a chance to win this thing. So
I think you're talking about dinner. You're talking about get a start.
Might be.
Monster Energy Yamaha Factory Racing's Garrett Gerloff in his sophomore season, already with a couple podiums so far this year. 6 total, a little bit more than a couple. 2nd place and 5 third places. Looking for his first win in the EBC Brakes Superbike class. We could look at the facilities here at Utah Motorsports Campus. So Josh Herron has had a bit of a break for his back. He got some ice on that as well. Got a bit of a break.
James giving him a quick pat This is like Josh Herron territory as well, isn't it? I mean, he always just figures out a way.
I'm just thinking about that.
He's probably like, hey, I get to start on the second row. I only got to do 10 laps.
I can dig.
If I try to dig deep a little bit right now, I could throw some moves in here and see what happens. So that's going to be his motivation. Got a little bit of ice.
Maybe some ibuprofen. Who knows? So the reset is going to be Beaubier, Elias, and Gerloff on the front row. We expect to see grid position number 4 empty. Sculls. So Herron and JD Beach should be on row number 2. Then it's going to be Louis Gagne Peterson, Ribe, Orange, Coffee, and then Flinders, Verderico, and Kyle Wyman. So this is that MotoAmerica EBC Brakes Superbike quick start procedure.
And it's hard, as the psyche of a racer. You've done the hard work. You played out your race strategy the way you wanted to, did Cameron Beaubier. He maybe thought to himself, if I get a good start and I can put my head down and I can get that lead, I can manage it. Now, there's no defeat. It's just now you've got to come up with a different way and know that you probably are going to have a fight on your hands. And this is probably where Cameron's going to be pulling for his teammate to get in between him and Tony. I mean, Garrett Gerloff could win this race just as easy as well if he can get a good start. So there's a lot of things to play for right now in this little 10-lap race that could really play a lot for our points.
Welcome back to Utah Motorsports Campus. The incident has been cleaned up. Air fence has been repaired. And riders have come out of pit to do this quick start procedure. Matthew Sculls is up and in his pit box along with his bike, so he looks like he's going to be okay. This is quick start procedure. So riders, Jason, have gotten out onto the track and they have done a siding lap. They do have the chance to talk to a mechanic if they need to, if anything's wrong, and then it's going to be a warm-up lap, a grid and go. We've lost 1 lap on this one, so this is going to be a hectic 10-lap sprint race. And I'm going to tell you something, Jason.
First turn's going to be good.
And it plays in the favor of this rider right here, Tony Elias. While we were away at break, Tony had mentioned that he's got more front grip with less fuel load. They do not fuel the tanks up. They pretty much have a similar amount of fuel they had when they got off the racetrack for this one, if anyone's added anything at all. So the bike that Tony had when he went to the red flag is basically the bike he's going to have. Now, no change of tires. So Cameron Beaubier, we know, is a little bit bummed about this restart for him because he'd done a bit of work to get a 2.4-second lead, which now basically gets erased. This is just a flat-out 10-lap sprint race.
Yep, and it is a sprint race. And I think for Cameron Beaubier, I think every race is important. Every race is important. But we're going to go to Laguna and we're going to Sonoma. Sonoma is a track that he has done phenomenal at in the past. I feel like if he can get on the road to those 2 tracks with a win here, and that tightens that points back up like he wanted. So I think it's a big momentum swing if Cameron doesn't win this race because Tony Elias was 2.5 seconds back. I really felt that Cameron was controlling the pace out front. So the momentum swing that could change this is the fact that if Tony Elias somehow wins.
Welcome back to Utah Motorsports Campus. Red flag is over. Riders out on a quick start procedure. Jason Pridmore, they've already done a siding lap. Now they're on their warm-up lap. It's time for grid and go. We've been cut to 10 laps, so this is going to be a flat-out 10-lap sprint race.
Absolutely, and it's just going to be a really interesting first corner when they get down there. I think, again, I talk about it sometimes. Some tracks we go to, the first 20, 30 seconds are the most important, and this one here is really that case for me. Cameron's going to be looking to duplicate the start he got the first time. A couple other guys are going to try to get better ones.
Yeah, for Tony Elias, the fuel load has been dropped. He mentioned to us in the break that it's good. He's got rear grip, he's got front grip, and that fuel load is perfect right now. Here we go. It's going to be start number 2 for race number 2 of the EBC Brakes Superbike class. Can Cam Beaubier do it again? Revs are up. Away we go. And Cam Beaubier he didn't get the launch.
No, when he dropped the clutch, Greg, the bike definitely lurched and the front wheel came up off the ground. Look at Josh Herron trying to roll around the outside of Garrett Gerloff. But right now we got Tony Ilias in front, Cameron Beaubier, and then Garrett Gerloff, and it looked like Herron slotted himself into 4th.
It was Kyle Wyman who ran off the track and crashed in the back there. He tipped the motorcycle over. So Kyle Wyman on the restart looks like he is down. But up front, Tony Ilias, there he is, the 33.
What a bummer. I mean, especially to be 3 laps down and then have an issue like that going into the first turn. Glad he's up and okay, but this is where it's going to be now. Cameron's got to fight those demons of, I was leading and now I'm second, and he's got to start to think of ways of which he's going to try to get by Tony.
And Tony Ilias with a clear track, exactly what he likes.
And because he can control things. He controls things from the front so well, does Ilias. And so Beaubier now has just got to kind of go to work, and I feel like he's going to try to strike early, Greg. He might. There you go. Look, wow. Did you see how fast he just got out of those? And it allowed Gerloff to go by. Gerloff goes by both of them.
What a move by Garrett Gerloff. Wow. Look at Tony trying to say, hey, why don't you
Look at Gerloff trying to fire a shot at Tony right now as they go. Good job by Garrett Gerloff. Now he's got to fight.
Tony.
Yep, and I'm not sure what he's gesturing at. You're racing. I mean, you got guys that are hungry and they want to try to beat you. So, and good for Garrett Gerloff, and he's throwing shots. That might have been what Josh Hayes was talking to him about.
So Garrett Gerloff roughing up Tony Ilias. Tony trying to get everybody to follow behind him because he's trying to make a break. Garrett Gerloff's having none of it.
No, and I don't blame him. Good for Garrett. And his teammate almost ran in the back of Tony Ilias as they came out of the attitudes, and Garrett stuffed his way up through the front. Tony went back by it. Garrett let off the brakes and went back by him again. So, and I think Garrett's hungry.
Garrett is hungry, and he thinks he's got pace and definitely doesn't want Tony setting it. If Garrett Gerloff has a chance, where's he going to do it again? Look at him. He's trying to line him up.
A little bit wide there. See how Tony controls that apex?
Yeah.
He's going to be tighter on the exits in some of these corners, and now it's going to make the other two guys. We talked about Josh Herron prior to the start of this race, and look where he's at, Greg. He was nowhere to be seen in that first leg. Now, all of a sudden, he gets a little reprieve. He's right there on the back of the podium finishers.
Ooh, Gerloff.
Gerloff a little bit out of the seat.
Just on that transition, the rear end let loose for a second. Going to lose him a little bit of time.
Oh, Cameron backing the thing in. And this is where Cameron now is starting to get a little bit desperate. He knows he's got such a few laps, and here he comes. He's trying to do something with his teammate as they come into this turn 13. He's going to slide up underneath him, Greg.
Hold your breath. Can he hold it? So Beaubier gets a position. Is Gerloff going to fire right back at him? Not for the moment. Man.
And I can assure you, Cameron's going to go up there and fire a shot. There's not even a question in my mind. But I'm worried about that number 2 back there because Josh Herron is not going to be afraid to do that either. And he can hold on for another 8 laps with that back, no problem.
Turn number 1. Tony Ilias having his way. Cam closed up.
30.3 to 30.5 for Beaubier, having to go past his teammate as well. So these guys are right back almost to the pace that they were on new tires. 29.7 was the fastest from Beaubier, but we saw them running this pace. I think we're gonna see down through the attitudes into turn 11, Twelly turn. I think clubhouse corner, turn 13 is the spot that Beaubier is going to try to make his pass.
Closing up there for the apex, loses a couple bike lengths on the drive. But Beaubier is making Tony Ilias aware of the fact that he is right there and ready to pounce. So these two starting to break away from the field just a bit. A couple of bike lengths from Gerloff. But what a restart from Josh Herron. Just reset himself.
Yep.
We talked about it, man. This is Herron territory. He can dig deep.
Yeah, no, this is what Josh Herron loves. He loves a fight, and now he knows he's back in the front, and he's got, hey, anything can still happen. He can still win this race. There you go. There's the drive that Beaubier gets. He's going to try to do everything he can. That Yosh bike is fast down the straightaway. It's going to take a huge move down there. And Tony will just protect this. He'll move over to the right out of here and go into this right-hander tight, and then he'll do the same out of that next left, and that's what's going to make him so hard to pass. He's going to come out of this right, move right over to the left, Greg, and make it very hard for anybody to go down the inside.
All right, as we head on the front straightaway, the red flag was caused by Matthew Sculls. He's with Hannah right now. Hannah.
All right, Matt. The bikes are going by here. It's a little loud. I think he wants to see where everyone is. But we had an unfortunate crash with you this afternoon. It looked pretty bad. Tell us about what happened.
I mean, I was feeling pretty good in 4th place. I don't think I was going to catch Gerloff or Tony, but I was gapping the guys back and 5th. So, I mean, I was happy with how the race was going, but just unfortunately hitting the brakes into corner 5, I was just slightly wide, and I was on the curb. And just as I hit the brakes, I just lost the front. So I got to say sorry to the Westby guys. They gave me a really good motorcycle, and sorry to everyone back home watching. Hopefully next race we will come back fighting strong. Laguna Seca is a really positive track for me. So really to that, thank you guys.
Thanks, Matt.
You can hear the Ducati go by on that one, so Kyle Wyman's still on the racetrack. But back up front, you can see that the number 2 of Josh Herron has gotten by Garrett Gerloff.
That's a concern. That's going to be a big concern for Beaubier, because Josh is really good down into the turns called Agony and Ecstasy down there, turns 7 and 8. So
right now, Cam Beaubier in a Yoshimura Suzuki sandwich.
Jeremy Coffey is off, we're hearing.
Number 42. He crashed himself out of 9th place. So that would have been a great result for Jeremy Coffey. So he's down in this one. So we'll see if they can get that incident cleared up, or is this going to go to a red flag incident, and then MotoAmerica's got a decision to make. So let's keep on racing.
He's getting himself back up, so we'll have a look at this, Greg, see where this happens. This is coming out. Oh, wow. That was weird.
Ooh, and Max Flinders, good way to...
Max got by, but that was strange. He had the bike almost upright.
Yeah, that was really strange.
That was really strange there. That was on the exit of turn 7.
And that's off the race line as well. You saw all that gravel being pushed onto asphalt. That's not part of the racing surface. So looks like race action continues here. So Beaubier still with work to do.
30.6, 30.7 that last time through. 30.7 for Josh Herron as well.
I just keep looking at Beaubier's tires. I just taking a look at that rear tire to see, if he had overworked him in that first part of the race.
He's lining up something here too. The thing is, Greg, is that Tony just stops the bike in the middle of the apex. Oh, he's going to have a go. Wow.
There goes Cameron Beaubier up the inside on Tony Elias. He squirts off the corner. Can he hold on to it? Tony Elias trying to go side by side. He's got position on Beaubier.
Cameron's just trying to let go of the brake lever. Look at him try to cut it back up underneath. And is he going to beat him to the right-hander? He does. Savvy move there by Cameron Beaubier for sure.
So Beaubier happy to lead for the moment. Now, does he have extra pace that Tony Elias doesn't have? Tony's going to get behind the bubble onto the front straightaway. Into turn 1. Tony's trying to go up the inside.
Oh,
he gets it done.
Can he turn it back underneath him? Can Cameron go back up underneath and stand Tony up? He does. Tony's going to have to drive out of here, but Cameron's going to have the right side of the track. Let's see how this plays out.
Tony Elias back with the lead.
Wow. And look at Garrett Gerloff. It looked like he was making a move on Herron just behind.
The Gerloff to P3. 4 factory racers going at it here at Utah Motorsports Campus, with 4 laps to go in this one.
Tony's so good at controlling the pace at the apex of that corner, so that it makes it to where it's hard for Cameron to do anything with him down here. So Cameron fired a shot at a turn that's very hard to do it in, going into Twelly turn out of the Attitudes. We're getting back to that area now on lap 6 of 10.
Question is, has Tony played his cards too early and showing where he's strong? Ooh, Beaubier on that transition, man. That bike got all kinds of loose.
He's going to do it again, Greg.
Here comes Beaubier on the inside, sends it sideways. Dirt track style. Beaubier with the lead. Tony Elias hard on the gas, gets it right back.
Yep.
Wow.
It's good racing right now.
And Tony's closing the door in that corner.
And Garrett's right there now with Cam, and he's trying to look up the inside of his teammate. So last thing Cameron probably wants to see is another Yamaha trying to stuff it up underneath him, but that door's open. Garrett's going.
Garrett Gerloff is due for a race win in his sophomore season. He is hungry for it. We've seen the emotion of Garrett Gerloff when he hasn't won a race when it was within his grasp.
Yeah, but this one's just a straight street fight now. We got 4 laps to go, and it's just a matter of where's the next shot's going to be fired and where they're going to be taken. You can see that Yosh bike just pulls away ever so slightly through here. You see how he just gets on the gas and he's able to close the door into that right-hander. Now, this next right that they go through, Cameron has a lot of entry speed. Tony just takes it right down to the bottom. You can see lines are going to be a little different, parks it, and you can see Cameron gets a big run on him. But there's nowhere for him to go once he gets there. It makes it very difficult for him to do anything.
31.3s. So it's Tony Elias leading from Cameron Beaubier and Garrett Gerloff. And they have pulled away from Josh Herron, who just ran off the track. But who is going to have it with the laps winding down here at Utah Motorsports Campus? So Josh Herron, Jason, ran off the track, so now it's left up to these three.
Yep. It's going to be up to these three guys now, and the thing is that Cameron's got to just, what he has done is he's been very savvy with his moves and where he wants to go. See, there's no room for him there. That pass that he's pulling off right now going into the attitudes is so hard, because if the guy starts tipping in on you, it goes off camber there. There's a little crest going in there. He's going straight to the apex, but he can't get the bike to turn. That's why he's running wide, and Tony turns it back up underneath him. Now Tony's seen that shot fired at him twice in the same place. He understands that it's coming probably again. This is down into turn one now. You can see these guys are pretty much line of stern all through here. But if Cameron's going to have to do another surprise move somewhere, the Yosh bike just accelerates so hard after Tony gets it stopped in the middle of the corner that it makes it hard for Cameron to really line anything up. So he's got to do something in specific spots. All through here, this next right-hander, Cameron's faster, but Tony just takes it to the bottom. See the difference in line? This time, Cameron opens up. See that little gap? Now he's trying to get a run on Tony.
Just using as much of the racetrack to figure out how he can get his Yamaha by that Suzuki. Tony Elias, fastest lap of the race at a 1:30.39, last time by a 1:30.4. So they are at maximum pace in this 10-lap sprint race. The restart.
He's close again, Greg. Look how close he is. He's taking another shot right now.
Got a lot of confidence in Tony's riding ability too.
But see, Tony's shutting it off now. Tony has now moved that line over and in, so it makes it harder for Cameron to go even tighter again. And this is where you start to put a lot of trust in your fellow riders, that if they see that door is closed and making it almost, look, he's almost on the white line going into this right-hander.
Boy, Tony just gets that motorcycle side to side so quickly to try to close those lines down. And there's, again, a nice part. So look how tight. Cameron's trying to get a drive. Onto the front straightaway they go. Their start-finish line. You can see that Elias is pulling away.
Yeah, but that's just...
Hey, there's 2 laps to go, Jay. Cam's got to do something more. He's got to have something lined up for the last lap and just try to rough him up.
Well, we've seen plenty of times in the past Cameron doing something on the last laps of races where he pulls a rabbit out of his hat and runs unbelievably fast times. Tony just, the problem is it's just so hard to pass when you have 2 guys that are close together. Even though we've seen a lot of passing, the guy at the front is really, really good at protecting where he wants to be on. So here's the drive. See, Cameron's actually letting him get out a little bit out of that right-hander so he can try to roll through that turn and try to potentially do something down into here, but it becomes really hard. Now, if you watch our on-bar shot, they're going to come out of this turn up to these attitudes. This is where Cameron's been really fast. So they're going to go left, then right, then back to the left again. Cameron Beaubier is really good on the exit here. And this is where he has fired a couple shots before, but he's just a little bit too far back this time, and Tony's closing off the entry.
Lap and a half for Elias. Leading the way on the 24 Yoshimura Suzuki. Here comes Beaubier. Cooling his bike down. Gets a look at the corner coming up. All the while, Gerloff's hanging tight. If these two get together and make a mistake, guess who's going to win this race? The 31. Championship on the line. Halfway through this season, valuable points. I don't think Garrett Gerloff is even caring at this point. He's just out to fight for himself and that race win. Here we go, final lap of this race. Tony Elias deep into turn number 1. Foot off. Don't see that very often from Tony, so we know he's got it in his head right now. He's trying to break away. Fastest lap of the race, credit to Garrett Gerloff last time by. The pace of these 3 riders. Oh, look how much track he's using.
Yep. Cameron Beaubier is trying to turn it back up underneath. Now let's see if he allows that gap a little bit more and tries to get a run on Tony Elias on the exit of this turn. Just can't get close enough. Tony just gets down to the bottom, and the Yosh bike has so much grunt from the apex. And look at him. See how tight he is? He's not going to just open up the door and let somebody go up underneath him. That's the experience right there of knowing that he has a guy behind him that's willing to take the shot. But if you can thwart that early and let him see that you're not going to let that door open, it's going to make it much harder. Here we go.
Beaubier's been strong. 1 bike leg separating those 2. Tony out to the edge. Beaubier now, trying around the outside, maybe trying to square him up a little bit.
But see, Tony controls the speed, and Cameron right now is going to take a shot. Here it goes, Greg.
Here's Cameron Beaubier going up the inside. He's going to go right again. He can't get the throttle open. Tony has got inside position. Could this be it? Tony Elias will go right to the apex. Cameron Beaubier trying to do the impossible. He's on the gas. No, Tony's off the corner. Well, underneath the bubble, and Tony Elias, after a red flag, will take another win in the EBC Brakes Superbike class.
What a great last lap. And there's Josh Herron. He's going to come across in 4th. Then we're going to have J.D. Beach and Jake Lewis come across in short order right behind Josh.
How about Tony Elias? Oh,
yeah.
Look at that. These two guys talking. They knew they had a good race on them.
That was a great race. I mean, that was clean as you can come. And both guys were riding hard. But it's track position that Tony does. That he always puts himself in the right spot, Greg, and it makes it harder for the guys behind. Even though I knew Cameron was going to take that shot down into turn 13, Tony was already tight. Cameron had to go tighter, and it was a pretty easy turn back under for Tony Elias before they got to turn 14.
5th win of the season for the Spaniard, the 2017 champ, Tony Elias. When he's finished a race, Jason, he's seen nothing but the podium.
Yeah.
And for good reason. He has just got a program dialed in this year. New baby. Tony can't remember, Tony the 3rd, Tony the 4th, his son. But he is earning a paycheck to put diapers on the baby, no question about that. What a race for Tony Elias.
And let's not rule out Garrett Gerloff here. I love seeing the aggression at the beginning. That's going to be something for him. And I know that having Josh Hayes in your corner, who was a very aggressive guy, I think Garrett today showed I'm not afraid to be aggressive with anybody. And he had pace again this weekend.
At pace.
Yep, he's right there.
He was a 1/10 of a second, 0.199 off of Cameron Beaubier. And 0.5, so half a second behind Tony Elias in this one. So it's Tony Elias, Cam Beaubier, Gerloff. Josh Herron finishes 4th after his off-track excursion. J.D. Beach, Jake Lewis here. Jason, look at this replay right here.
Yeah, so Tony's tight. He's already tight, and he opens it just a tiny bit. Cameron's going to go up underneath him, but it makes it so hard to stop the bike. A lot of Cameron's turning has to come after the apex of the turn. That's why Tony turns it back up underneath him and goes really tight into the right. Now he can control everything. And here you go. You're going to see him move over to the left. There's what he's trying to do to thwart the effort of Cameron Beaubier of going underneath him. But Cameron was determined to have a go, as we knew he would.
Right there.
The bike gets a little bit loose. Tony goes right to the apex of that next right. And then he's going to just come out of here and go straight to the left, going into the last left. Cameron's doing everything he can, trying to work a way around.
So the Scud missile, 5th win of the year. He's had 3 second-place finishes and only 1 third on the docket. And other than allowing Beaubier back into this championship after race 2 at MotoAmerica, it just seems like this guy is on the program.
Yeah, he's pretty determined to win the championship this year. And you know, the thing is Cameron, let's not forget, Cameron had that race up until our red flag. He had it pretty well controlled at 2.5 seconds. Not to say that Tony Elias couldn't have caught him, but it didn't look likely, did it, before the red flag?
No. And we're going to a place where Cameron Beaubier is very fast.
Next 2 tracks.
But it's still 4 weeks away-ish. And this race finish, I have a feeling, is going to haunt Cameron Beaubier for a bit, for a few weeks. He's definitely going to be thinking about it. So, onboard camera as your look, and Garrett Gerloff with another great podium. So close on that one. I don't know, Jason, if you're Garrett Gerloff, I mean, how disappointed can you be?
I don't think you can. It's a great point, Greg. I don't think you can be disappointed. He rode really, really well today.
So with riders making their way to Parc Ferme Winner's Circle, on the other side of the break, we'll have interviews with them, so don't go anywhere on our FS2 coverage of MotoAmerica. Fox Sports coverage of MotoAmerica Superbike racing from Utah has been brought to you by Dunlop, the official tire of the 2019 MotoAmerica Championship. All right, let's get right down to Hannah, who's in victory lane.
Garrett Gerloff, 3rd place on the day after missing out on the podium yesterday. How was your battle at the end with Josh there and then trying to catch Cam and Tony?
Yeah, you know, luckily Cam and Tony were kind of dicing it up there a little bit, which kind of helped me get back to him after, you know, I had to get around Josh. But man, I feel like we had really good pace. I just had a little bit of issue with edge grip and some of the middle of the corners, which kind of felt like held me back. But man, I gave it my all, and it's awesome to be right there. I just want to throw in some more shots, next time on the last lap. But yeah, I gave it my all. I can't give it up enough to my team, Monster Energy, Yamaha Financial Services, Monster Energy, Yamaha R1, and just the whole team. Thanks for everything they do to give me a great bike. We had a good race. We got a little bit lucky when when we had the red flag. Yeah, nothing. I feel good. Just want to be on the top side of the podium next time. So anyway, thanks to everybody, and HAC helmets, Quartz-Like leathers, CD boots, and just gotta give all the glory to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Thanks.
Thanks, Garrett.
Yeah, I mean, that was it. I mean, you had to have a perfect motorcycle to fight for that. No edge grip. What are you going to do with Tony? I mean, you got to have edge grip to try to figure out a way around the guy because he just goes right to the apex.
The thing is, he's fighting. That's the thing. That's the thing. Is like, I love seeing him fire some shots, and that's going to give him a lot of confidence. So, I keep saying it's a matter of time for this guy. He's going to win races. It's just taking some time. Let's get back down to Hannah.
All right, Cam, second place today. Why was the spot that you chose to pass Tony the best spot in your professional opinion?
Oh, man. I was trying to get creative because I think he knew that I was going to the inside there. So I knew he was going to go straight to the apex because he thought I was going to go up inside. So I swung it wide and got a good drive and gave everything I could in the next corner. And I thought I had it. I thought I had the pass stuck. And then I pushed the front tire pretty good, and he got underneath me, and there's nothing I could do after that. But it sucks. It sucks to get second, especially after the gap I had before the red flag. I have put my head down. My bike was feeling great today. My team, worked really hard overnight, and we came up with something for today. But all in all, it was a great battle, good, hard, clean fight. Yeah, I mean, I got second, but hats off to Tony. He rode his butt off. So big thanks to my Yamalube, Monster Energy, Yamalube, Yamaha team. They always give me 100%. Bell, Alpine Stars, a man above, and everyone for coming out.
Thanks, Cam.
All right, so a bit more of a smile than I would expect to see on Cam's face, but
no, he's discouraged. You can tell, right?
It's a tough position to be in because obviously with Matthew Sculls and the red flag, you wish nothing but best things for Matthew Sculls, but it's tough to take away a 2.5-second lead for sure.
Yeah, especially when you've maybe had a race plan and it doesn't always go to plan, as they say, and it just didn't today. Let's get back down to Hannah with our winner.
Tony, how does it feel being a new father to win a race on Father's Day?
Oh, I realize right now because you're telling me, but yes, amazing. First day of my life to be in happy Father's Day, no? It's amazing, especially this win is for him. So I'm very happy. The weekend couldn't go better. We did a great job. Hats off to Cam and his team because yesterday he was in a 31 low space and today was in 29, 30 low. So I don't know how they did that, but we struggle a lot. After some laps I was there. I've been lucky for the red flag. Sorry for him. And we were there. We played hard with Gerloff, with him. It's been amazing. At the end we could win double win. It's incredible to continue this championship.
Thanks, Tony. Congratulations.
All right, so Tony Elias on a 2-race win streak after his double here at Utah Motorsports Campus.
Momentum back.
Happy Father's Day to this guy.
Yep, there's a shot out the back of his motorcycle, and this is him going back past Cameron after Cameron made a pass down there in that Tuella turn. Very hard place to pass, but he was always able to turn it back up underneath him. You can see he's got a lot of Yamaha blue behind him in this shot. But you said something, Greg, about being a pivotal point of the year. It's just as big for Tony Elias after his mistake at MotoAmerica in the last race to come here and get 2 wins at a track that none of us had seen. Here's a good look at our race results.
So it's Tony, Cam, and Garrett. Josh Herron recovering for 4th. JD Beach, Jake Lewis, Jake Gagne, Jason Uribe in his return here on that Honda CBR 1000 RR. Matthew Orange with a good 9th place finish for him. Then you have Max Flinder, Sam Verterico, Kyle Wyman, and then it's Jeremy Coffey, Peterson, David Anthony. Those are non-finishers in this race. Unfortunately, Matthew Sculls with that red flag as well.
All right, Jay, let's take a look at some key moments in this race because, well, I think this start really, if Cam had gotten a better start, right there, that little flinch too kind of set Cam's race.
It did. It really did, because it didn't allow him to get that first lap where he could really try to control the pace. And that's what kind of messed it up for him. But this was the last lap. He took a shot down there, as you'd expect a champion like Cameron Beaubier to do. But today, Tony Ilias was every bit of his match. And he goes in here kind of hard, and you can see he loses the front right there.
Yeah,
you
that's
can see
what he was
the
talking
camera,
about
that's
in the
what he was talking
post,
about. And Tony was able to go back by him. And at this point, it's really hard to try to pass a guy quality of Tony out of that last corner.
And they know what good racing is all about, and you got to witness it right here. We're going to have more from MotoAmerica on the other side of this break, so don't go anywhere.